Hi everyone. In this video I'll talk about the Duolingo English test and how I managed to score 145 out of 160 on the Duolingo English test. I'll try to include the best tips and study material that I used for my preparation, and I hope it will help you as well. I'll put the results somewhere here so that you can just verify that I did score 145. Okay, so first I'll just give you some basic information about the test. So Duolingo is an online test. It's a 1 hour test, and the cost for the examination is $49. It takes 2 days for you to get the results, and all you need for the test is an active internet connection, a well-lit room, and a laptop which has webcams and a microphone. Okay, so tip number one. The first and foremost thing that you have to do in order to get a rough idea of what the exam is to give the practice test. It's a 15 minutes free test available at the Duolingo website. I'll share all the links that I'll be talking about in the description section, so do check it out. That 15-minute test gives you an experience of how the 1 hour exam is going to be, and it will include different types of questions, so you get a rough idea about what you'll be getting in the actual exam. The time durations might be different because the practice test is just 15 minutes and the actual one is a 1 hour test, so that will be a challenge. But the best thing is you get to know what type of questions there will be, and you'll get a rough estimated score in the end. Now I say it's a rough estimate, so don't go by it blindly. If you score high, I'll still suggest you should keep practicing until the exam, and if you score low, don't get disheartened. I also scored low and I ended up getting a 145, so you never know. So moving on, now I'll first list the type of themes that, like the type of questions that are asked in the test. I'll list them on the screen now. These are basically the type of questions that you can find on the actual exam, and we'll deal with each type of question once at a time. There are select real English words, type the statement that you hear, select English words in a list by listening, describe the image in 50 words, record yourself, answer questions from the reading passage, and then the long writing question, and finally the university question. The last question in the Duolingo English test is the university-based prompts. Those prompts aren't graded but are recommended and mandatory to be prepared for, because generally what the Duolingo English test says is that along with your grade, a copy of these prompts are sent to the university. Now it's entirely up to the university whether they'll check the prompts or not, but as long as you score more than the minimum requirement, it's a prerequisite, so it's not gonna make much an impact. As long as you are above 120 or 125, you are good to go. So these were the type of questions that we can find on the actual exam, and now we are going to break each of these questions, and I'm gonna give you some tips on how I practiced them myself, and how I think you can also practice it in the same manner. Okay, so the first type of question you can find on the test is type the missing letters. You'll be given a paragraph where some of the letters will be missing. You have to guess what word is it, and you have to complete the entire paragraph. Now the best thing you can do for such type of questions, and believe me, you'll have plenty of time, so you can follow the entire process, read the paragraph and get the idea about what the content is first. Just don't start jumping on the question and fill in the blanks and just like guessing and looking for answers. Instead of that, first read the paragraph, get a brief idea, help your brain picturize the entire paragraph, and then jump onto the blanks. This way, when you are guessing, you'll be able to make a more calculated guess rather than just like guessing blindly. After that, read the first 2 lines and then complete the blanks for the first 2 lines. Then read the next 2 lines and so on. In the end, when you have completed the paragraph and filled all the blanks, read the paragraph from starting to end and see if it makes sense, if it's grammatically correct, and if the words you have placed, they actually make sense to the context of the sentence and paragraph. This way you'll never end up getting the fill in the blanks question wrong, because you have thoroughly revised the paragraph and you had some context before starting it. Now, next type of question on the test is select real English words. You'll be given 3 or 4 columns of English words. Some of them are real English words, while other they are just like incorrect or misspelled English words, and you have to select the right ones. And the most common mistake that we all make in this section is that we just sort of question our vocabulary, that whether or not this word exists. Oh, so maybe this word exists, I just don't know about it, and we just take a guess. Trust me, don't guess. Just don't guess. If you don't think that word exists, just don't put it as the answer. Select all those words that you think are legit English words, but don't question your vocabulary. The third type is type the statement that you hear. So generally people say listen it once, twice, and then start typing it. But we all know we have just got 3 attempts, and as soon as you finish the last section, the audio just starts playing itself, and you just sort of waste the one-time playing of audio because you weren't just listening the first time and you tried to listen more accurately the second time. I'll say whatever you heard from the first time you listened to the audio, just type it down. You have 2 more trials. If you have written something, you have something to compare from the actual audio. So let me try to explain you this with an example. For example, you listen to this audio. Even though I was not able to see you, I could recognize your voice. Let's assume this was the audio that was played, and since you just clicked and moved on to the next section, you were not able to hear the best of the entire thing. And generally what people do is they just sort of repeat the audio and they waste one of their trials. What I suggest is, even if you are not able to hear the starting part, you will have the entire attention to the last part of it. Type it down and then place the cursor on the starting, and then repeat the audio and try to get the first half of the sentence right. This way you'll have something to compare of when you are listening the audio twice or thrice, instead of just wasting the first time. Then in the end, keep the third retake of the audio with what you wrote and just compare it. This way you'll have a higher chance of getting the entire question correct. Next type of questions in which we have to select the correct word while listening to the pronunciation of that word. Now people generally get confused in this question because they just think that they didn't understand the pronunciation of the question of the word, and they assume that the word exists. They just didn't understand it. If you didn't understand the word, then it's probably because that word doesn't exist and you have never heard of that word before. So I'm just saying, if you heard a word, if it resembles closely to the pronunciation that you know, well and good, go for that word. Okay, so with that, we are almost through with all the fill in the blanks questions, all the listen and write questions, and select the right words question. I thought of making a detailed video wherein I could share each and every single tip and thought I have with you. So I'm gonna make a part 2 of this video, in which I'm gonna discuss the describe an image in about 50 words, recording ourselves, answering question related to the reading passage, the long writing question, and finally the university question. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being with me. I would really appreciate if you could go and hit the like button and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And until next time, bye bye.